No one is above the law.
This case, from the outset, was about dishonesty and corruption.
I have never, ever betrayed my sacred oath of office.
We believe in his innocence. We will continue to fight for his innocence.
A sentence handed down, 2 years in prison for Bob McDonnell. CBS 6 News starts now with this breaking news.
A lot of other folks in the courthouse today on behalf of CBS 6, including our Joe St. George and our political analyst, Dr. Bob Holdsworth. I'm going to bring you guys in today. Let me get your thoughts on what you saw in there. You both have been here throughout the entire trial.
Well, first, I want to pass along what he said just at the end when you darted out to alert our viewers here on CBS 6. So Bob McDonnell has asked to serve his time in Petersburg. So he has asked to serve his time in Petersburg. Again, as you said, a 24-month sentence, 2 years probation. He will pay fines of $1,100, and that's it. And that payment is due immediately.
Right now, a Virginia news crew gunned down. During a live report, we have complete coverage, the victims, a possible motive, and what we know about the suspected gunman.
Tonight's vigil outside the WDBJ studio honored Allison Parker and Adam Ward, but it was also an effort to prevent future tragedies. Our John Paquette was there and joins us live from Roanoke with their message tonight. John?
It has to stop, Bill. 4 words you heard from Attorney General Mark Herring repeated a few times tonight in reference to gun violence and the innocent lives stolen just 2 days ago, and often the stuff that follows after it. Remembering the lives of WDBJ reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward. To many gathered here, they were family through the TV. A tragedy especially close to home for others like Stephanie Stafford, who recently met the journalism duo in person.
It's definitely difficult when you actually have met them and you've known them, they're so good at what they do. They were taken way too soon.
We will treat each other right.
Ward and Parker were gunned down during a live broadcast Wednesday morning at Smith Mountain Lake. The crazed gunman, a former colleague, Vester Flanagan, shoots himself to death hours later while driving down Interstate 66. In a search warrant of his rental car, police recover 6 Glock magazines, ammunition, a to-do list, a briefcase with wigs, sunglasses, and 3 license plates, along with a bag of other random supplies.
We pray for unity.
My heart goes out to the friends and family of Allison and Adam and, of course, Vicki as well.
It's a community grieving a tremendous loss, a community that's seen this type of violence before.
Please pray for yourselves. This tragedy struck a nerve for every single person in this community.
Many here say it's too early to talk politics. They just want to honor 2 dedicated journalists that were ambushed while on the job.
We need to honor their memory, think about them often, but you know, we do need to move on and just get some closure from it, and I think that's what this night did.
Jesse Matthew, the man accused of killing Hannah Graham in Charlottesville, is now facing the death penalty.
Working for you. CBS 6 News at 5:30 starts with a breaking news alert.
I'm Julie Bragg.
And I'm Rob Desir. Thanks for joining us. CBS 6's Laura French joins us live from outside the courtroom in Albemarle.
Yes, it has been a very hectic last hour. Jesse Matthew was brought into the courtroom just before 5 o'clock today. At that time, they informed everyone in the courtroom that about 10:30 this morning, they served him with an indictment, and he now faces capital murder under first-degree murder and abduction with the intent to defile in the case of Hannah Graham. Hannah Graham's parents were in the courtroom along with Jill Harrington, the mother of murdered Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington, who has also been forensically linked to Jesse Matthew. Now, what was discussed for a good amount of time is that Jesse Matthew has a long-standing relationship with his current public defender, an attorney right here in Charlottesville, James Camblos. They were arguing that they wanted Camblos to remain part of his defense team. But it was made very clear that when it comes to a capital case like this, they need defenders who are capital defender qualified. So that is where a Doug Ramsier comes into play. He's a capital defense attorney out of Richmond. He also has a Mr. Hemingway, a private attorney here in Charlottesville. Those will be his two attorneys in this case. So now today, new representation, new charges, and when asked, we asked the Commonwealth's attorney if they plan to seek the death penalty. They said if this case goes to trial, because as we know, anything can happen, they do intend to seek the death penalty.
Laura, we were hearing that there was actually new forensic evidence that's come in since the recent indictments, and that's why the charges have been upgraded. Have you learned much about that?
Denise Lunsford, the Commonwealth's attorney, would not, of course, expand on that. But she did say, I said, why now? Why did we change this from a first-degree murder case? Because if you recall, when they did announce the first-degree murder charges, there was no talk about capital murder because they were going off of the evidence that they had. Now, after those indictments were served to Jesse Matthew, new evidence has come to their attention from the lab. Evidence that we can only assume is stronger evidence than they thought that they had, and at which time they said this is a capital murder case. Now again, he walked in the courtroom, he gave his defense attorney, Jim Kamlis, at the time, a smile. He looked directly at the Graham family. They did not lose eye contact with him either. Neither did Jill Harrington. And again, a lot of developments today in this case. The next hearing will be June 25th at 1 o'clock. Here in Charlottesville. Working for you in Charlottesville, Laura Fridge, CBS 6 News.
Bolivar Peninsula, known as the breadbasket of Galveston, and for lifelong Texan Karen Monk.
It's just real relaxing down here.
Her place of peace. This has been Monk's home away from home since she was a little girl. She feels safe here. But that would all change one September afternoon.
It was beautiful weather, blue skies, white clouds, sunshine.
Like she does every month, Monk drove the 50 miles onto this beach to take this all in.
Sitting, looking out at the water, me and my dog, just eyes closed, listening to music.
When she noticed she had company.
His tent was about right here, close to the grass. And his car was parked on the other side.
And that car was headed her way.
This car came in front of me and stopped, abruptly slammed on his brakes. He looked at me like, I don't know, maybe he knew me. When I looked up and I saw him, I mean, his facial features are unmistakable. He was probably 10 feet from me, and he sat there for what felt like minutes. Looking right in my eyes, so I wasn't gonna give up.
The man staring at her, Jesse Leroy Matthew Jr., wanted more than 1,000 miles away for the abduction of University of Virginia student Hannah Graham. Karen recognized him from the news.
My heart literally probably stopped beating. I just held my breath, and then luckily he drove off.
Karen bravely waited here patiently for Jesse to return to the beach so she could give authorities his exact location. It would be 15 long minutes before he did, and she would see to it that his 1,300-mile, 4-day run from police would come to an end. After repeated calls to authorities, Karen got the attention of the Galveston County Sheriff's Office. She packed up her car, set her odometer, and drove exactly 4.2 miles to this fruit stand where she told a deputy where to find Matthew.
The deputy went by to check things out, and it seems that we got a person off the street that needed to be taken up.
By the time Karen got home, Matthew was in custody and being questioned by investigators.
Actually, he was very quiet. Several individuals came down and tried to talk to him, and he didn't want to discuss anything with anybody.
Jesse spent 41 hours inside cell block M148A before this door ever opened, and he was transferred back to Virginia.
She said, "You're right."
How rewarding was that?
I think my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding?
Did you think, I did it?
Yeah. Yeah. was like, wow, I wasn't wrong.
And Galveston Sheriff Henry Trosset and Perfect Strangers are doing more than just saying thank you.
We were the ones pushing. We were the ones contacting Virginia, the Crime Stoppers in that area, seeing if we could get her assistance. We would like to see her being honored and rewarded for what she's done.
It's peaceful, isn't it?
Until then, Cheryl Bean was compelled to find Karen and let her know that the Longhorn State was proud of one of its own.
We have somebody who is a hero, and we let them go underneath the radar, and I think that's wrong.
So she called on Texas legislators to honor Karen with this proclamation and started a GoFundMe account for the single mother of 3 and student.
Believe me, because Karen did that, others will live. Others will not face a heartache, a lifetime of questions, and endless tears at every anniversary and every birthday and every missed opportunity.
And despite fear, self-doubt, and reservations, on September 24th, Karen Monk was determined not to miss this opportunity.
I don't feel like a hero, really. I really don't know how I feel, just right place at the right time.
The place where Karen once again feels safe and at peace.
With a broken heart tonight, I have to share with you that our colleague and treasured friend Stephanie Rochon has died. And with her death, Central Virginia has lost one of its brightest lights, and we at WTVR are one of our best journalists. Stephanie died after being treated for bile duct cancer over the past 8 months. She's been a pillar of our television community for nearly 16 years as an accomplished reporter and anchor. She's also been a relentless advocate for breast cancer awareness and access to breast care, especially for low-income women. It's a cruel irony that she and her mentor and friend, Dr. Ellen Shaw de Paredes, a leading figure in breast cancer research, should die within months of each other. Steph made all of us better, as journalists, as colleagues, and especially as people. Everything she did was informed by her passion, her faith, and her family. She was a newsroom leader, but her influence, I can promise you, will continue. And for the nearly 6 years we worked together, she made me work harder and better. And it was a joy to sit next to her. For me and many others, she was a friend and confidant, a rock for all of us. And if you ever had the glorious fortune to hear her cackle of a laugh, you know what it is to be transported to that place that we call the happy place. So if you're the praying kind, when you hit your knees tonight, put in a word for Steph's parents, her brother, her husband Jeff, and their 2 beautiful boys. Stephanie was 50 years old.
New information about a story we first told you about last night at 11.
That familiar voice.
John Burkett is live in the newsroom with this CBS 6 exclusive. John.
Every Monday through Friday, that comforting voice.
We have team coverage tonight for you.
Filled living rooms from Nottoway to New Kent and Gloucester to Goochland.
After months of investigating leads and searching for answers in the case,
loyal viewers of CBS 6 and casual watchers alike could always depend on Stephanie Rochon.
I'm Stephanie Rochon.
To share the day's headlines from the serious to the sublime.
Breast cancer is no longer an older woman's disease.
For 15 long years, the 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock newscasts on WTVR were anchored with Steph at the helm.
She was as close to a work soulmate as you could have. She just really...
Bill Fitzgerald literally worked shoulder to shoulder with Stephanie for nearly 6 years.
I'm Bill Fitzgerald.
I'm Stephanie Rochon.
With her, there was that trust, that comfort of, okay, we're ready to do the news and we're going to do it well. Because she was so good at her job.
Bill laments Stephanie's passing. He says his beloved co-anchor always carried herself with a sense of grace, style, and humor, both on and off camera.
I would take away from my years with her a partner that was more than a colleague, more than a friend. It was a special bond. And
at CBS 6 News, we're working for you.
I still haven't come to terms with it.
It's so surreal.
Stephanie's former 11 o'clock producer for a decade and dear friend Mike Bergazzi says Steph didn't just read words scrolling by on the teleprompter.
She dug her teeth into everything we did, everything we put on the air, especially the big stories, the top stories.
As a force in the newsroom, Mike describes Stephanie's attention to detail as legendary.
I really think that my years working with her turned me into a decent newsman. I think I owe her a lot for what I became.
Mike says Stephanie's absence leaves a gaping hole not only at the CBS 6 studios, but in her colleagues' collective hearts.
I don't know if it's set in or if it ever will set in, because you just look over there, especially when it's like the clock strikes 2:30 and you're just used to that door opening and her coming in.
Well, Mideast violence may divide Israelis and Palestinians, but it's uniting communities in this country.
As of late, our most special moments were moments where we didn't even share words. We just held hands.
CBS 6 reporter Shelby Brown says during Stephanie's long, painful battle with cancer, the friends of 14 years would often pray for long stretches in person or over the phone.
Everything just goes back to faith. When I think about her, her faith is rock solid.
Shelby remembers in the last few weeks of her life, Stephanie's spirit grew stronger in the face of a terrible disease.
She never once told me she was afraid. She told me she was at peace.
My supporting cast.
Stephanie was my best friend, my mentor, my colleague.
Raymond Hawks will cherish thoughts of walking Stephanie to her car every night. Raymond estimates he accompanied her at least 4,000 times over the course of their friendship.
It's difficult that she's not coming back, but I think that I find comfort in those memories that I've had with her.
Raymond says whenever he needs an emotional boost during this difficult time, he picks up the phone.
I've replayed voicemails on my phone from her over and over just to hear that, one line, "Hey, it's Steph." So it's gonna be a void for a while, but we know she's with us.
Don't make this that difficult.
I love being close to you, baby.
Back here in our area.
It's not just Stephanie's voice that will live on. One of her most important and lasting legacies will be her efforts to save lives through awareness.
You can find more information about triple-negative breast cancer on the Buddy Check 6 page of our website.
Stephanie's Buddy Check 6 special reports warned women young and old about the dangers of breast cancer.
Because Dorothy's subtype is rare, aggressive, and hard to treat.
I hope that she knew that what she had done was good for me and good for a lot of people.
Stephanie urged viewers to self-examine, see their doctor, and schedule mammograms.
We continue to cover two big breaking news stories for you tonight. After months of investigating leads and searching for answers in the case, some of us are looking forward to the big day more than others.
An anchor is defined as a source of security or stability. True to form, Stephanie provided relief and reassurance when all seemed lost. And when someone needed it the most, a shoulder to lean on.
She'll always be with us. Her legacy lives on, and she will always be in our hearts. She'll always be in our mind. And so, this is not the end of Stephanie. This is the beginning of her legacy.
Stephanie Rochon, CBS 6 News.
A Richmond mother tells us her kitchen is in ruins. She asked the CBS 6 problem solvers for help after she says a contractor never finished the job. So we sent our Shelby Brown to find out whether the contractor was licensed and just what the woman can do now.
Felicia Whitaker says she saved for years to come up with the $5,000 to renovate her kitchen and bathroom. When she was looking for a contractor, she asked friends on Facebook for recommendations. That's when Whitaker says an old friend reached out saying that's what he did for a living. Whitaker says she hired Kelly Johnson and gave him $1,400 to get started. That was in April.
So I entrusted him and just went ahead and gave him the $1,400 to go and buy the stuff, because he promised me by the time I got home at 7 o'clock that evening, my actual kitchen floor would be done.
Whitaker says she was leery about giving Johnson more money because he hadn't produced a contract or a receipt and had only taken her kitchen apart. So a few weeks later, instead of giving more money, she says she met him at the store to purchase $1,300 worth of materials, but was later stunned to learn
the Lowe's people told me that the items had been returned. I was so in shock because he kept telling me, I have all your stuff. I'm going to bring your stuff to you. I got locked out of my storage and I had to come up with the money to get the stuff out of the storage.
Whitaker ultimately took her concerns to police. This felony warrant shows Johnson was arrested in June for taking an advance of more than $200 and failing to perform construction. Johnson declined a CBS 6 News interview but told us via phone that Whitaker ran out of money and he wasn't going to do the work without it. He says he doesn't have a contractor's license and didn't do a contract with Whitaker because he was just doing a favor for an old friend. We also found another claim against Johnson for a similar incident. These Richmond court documents show that a woman won a $1,000 judgment against Johnson back in 2010. When we asked him about that case, he said he won the case. Whitaker is hoping that her story will prompt others to do their homework before they hire a contractor and before they hand over their hard-earned money. She says it took her several years just to save all the money to get the renovations done. And as for the work now, it will probably take her a long time to save up again to do the repair work. She heads to court in the coming months and is hoping to recoup her money. Working for you in Richmond, Shelby Brown, CBS 6 News.
And don't forget the CBS 6 Problem Solvers are here to help. Contact us if you feel you're the victim of a crime, scam, fraud, or if you simply need help after a natural disaster. Give us a call. The number's there on the screen, 254-3672, or you can always send an email to problemsolvers@WTVR.com. An update from the CBS 6 Problem Solvers. An unlicensed contractor found guilty of taking a Richmond mother's money and not finishing the work he'd promised to do.
Our Shelby Brown was in the courtroom today, and tonight she explains what you should watch out for when you hire a contractor and what you can do if you feel that you've been scammed.
See my pictures? Exactly. For these two women and their families, hindsight is 20/20.
I got lots of excuses.
Felicia Whitaker, a working mom of 3, never imagined the headaches she would endure when she unknowingly hired an unlicensed contractor, a man she knew from her neighborhood growing up. She said in short order, the $5,000 she saved for a bath and kitchen project was gone, and she says Kelly Johnson had nothing but excuse.
Oh, I'm sick.
After excuse.
Oh, my van broke down.
After excuse.
I'm having my dad do some air conditioning work or something that he was saying. Come to find out his dad is in a wheelchair.
After CBS 6 News first aired Whitaker's story, our tip line exploded with emails and social media posts from others claiming they too had similar issues with Johnson. One family's loss, double what Whitaker says Johnson owes her. Jamal Harris says these receipts show that she and her husband fronted $10,000 to Johnson for work he never finished. She said they hired him because his business card said he was licensed and insured. She took his word for it. This military mom explained to us and Better Business Bureau rep Tom Gallagher that they were looking to update their home with hard-earned money she saved while her husband was serving in Kuwait.
And that's the money I, was going to have put aside for the renovation. However, when the renovation went south and I had to hire other people to come in and redo it, I had to pull out from my retirement. I had to pull out my 401k. I had to pull out from everywhere else to try to replace money that I had already set aside for the job.
This is what she says happened when the unlicensed contractor dismantled her home, then stopped working.
He tore it all up all at the same time and didn't finish anything. My daughter's room still doesn't have electricity.
Have any of you received any money back? So how many of you in here feel like you've been scammed?
No, I do.
Definitely do. And I would say as well as all of the rest of the people that are not present today that he's taken advantage of.
CBS 6 has repeatedly attempted to interview Kelly Johnson. He's declined, but tells us that he knows he has several customers to repay and says he's going to do that. But he says in all of the cases we profiled, those customers ran out of money. Whitaker says once she was convinced that the work would never get done and that she was out of her $5,000, she says she wouldn't let it rest. She took her story to Richmond police and now she's pressing criminal charges.
I still have no running water in my kitchen. I still have cabinets are still not completed. My floor is still not completed. I still have holes all around in my kitchen.
on the floor as well as along the baseboards.
She was anxious for her court date, hoping a judge would see her side. At trial, the prosecutor argued that Johnson intended to defraud Whitaker of her money and even brought in several other alleged victims to testify. That was all the judge needed to hear, finding Johnson guilty. His attorney spoke briefly after court while Johnson remained inside, facing additional charges brought by others who are speaking out for the first time.
Misunderstanding. Might have been shoddy work, but I don't think there was enough evidence to show that there was an attempt to defraud the client.
Miss Whitaker had very good records and very good memory and was very detail-oriented, and that was very helpful. We got the outcome that we wanted.
I feel good for Miss Whitaker that she got a guilty verdict. Let's just hope that on December 14th it goes further into her favor and anybody else's favor who intends to pursue criminal matters.
Gallagher says he's stunned others haven't followed Whitaker's lead and pressed criminal charges.
You know what? You're not allowed to take money from somebody. The police are interested in that. The courts are interested in that. And you're not allowed to take that. You're not allowed to do that.
Now Harris and Whitaker want their harrowing experiences to be a sobering reminder to anyone looking to hire a contractor.
It's your responsibility to make sure that you check that person out, no matter how much you trust them, no matter how much you think you really know them.
Working for you in Richmond, Shelby Brown, CBS 6 News.
And Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring is also involved in this case now. His office tells CBS 6 that they have 3 pending complaints that they're working on right now to resolve, and they urge anyone with concerns about Kelly Johnson to call their consumer protection hotline at number 804-786-2042.
Sometimes good things come in small packages, and one teen has found the secret to rolling over life's potholes.
In his latest Heroes Among Us, our Greg McQuaid and photojournalist Brad Wilson introduced us to a student who is not letting physical challenges hinder him.
3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Wildcats. I'm Brandon.
Brandon Farbstein thrives under tight deadlines.
Since I would say I was 11 years old, I've known I want to go into journalism.
The sophomore delivers Deep Run High School's morning reports.
Students, are you on the hunt for a job?
The Anchor Desk, a place where Brandon feels most comfortable.
Who knows? Your design could be the one chosen for this year's dance.
This 16-year-old intends to make television history.
I think to be the first little person broadcast journalist would be quite an amazing thing.
Huge goals for a small teen who lives with severe physical limitations.
So, at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of dwarfism.
Standing a little more than 3.5 feet tall, Brandon can't walk much without pain setting in.
Not being able to be like a normal teenager kind of gets me sometimes.
Enjoy yourself.
All right, let's roll.
Brandon glides through the halls on a miniature Segway.
All right, the hallway's about to get super insane.
The Henrico teen has already endured several surgeries and stairs, but he's not short on confidence.
I'm not gonna let this condition define me. I'm not gonna let this define this.
Brandon acts on stage and even sings in chorus.
He is very funny. He's got a great personality. He's a ladies' man. They like him.
Immediately, I thought, there is no way you're putting me into a wheelchair.
He also recently shared his experiences and dreams and tried changing people's perspectives at a TED Talk.
I see a lot of positive, wonderful things coming from Brandon in the future. Have you got everything situated?
When he is not zipping on 2 wheels, Brandon likes riding in 4 as he works towards his driver's license.
I get a kick out of being with him. He inspires me, makes me work harder.
5 minutes till air.
Brandon hopes to inspire people no matter their size to overcome obstacles, making his parents proud.
I think it's taught him that a successful life is lived by having a lot of resilience and kind of rolling with the punches.
I was given this whole package for a reason.
Brandon Farbstein.
Attention all students, are you creative?
A teen with big dreams on the Anchor Desk and in life.
Having this condition is hard, and I'm not going to let that stop me. That's it for today's announcements. Have a great day, Wildcats, and please stay tuned for a video. I'm done. Good job.
Well, Brandon is also a proud member of Deep Run High School's Marathon Dance Committee, headed up by Kathleen Kern, which raises hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for charities and nonprofits all across the Richmond area. Also, Brandon just received some outstanding news. He was named to Style Weekly's prestigious 40 Under 40 list. We hear at 16, Brandon is the youngest recipient ever. I'm Greg McQuaid, CBS 6 News.
All over the South, from Birmingham and Jackson, Mississippi, Greenwood, Mississippi, and every other community.
A speech echoing across the decades, words by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. you have never heard.
Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same.
The historic moment from nearly a half-century ago mesmerizes George Martin.
I can hear it for the 25th time, and a chill goes down my spine.
The man from Chesterfield recently became the proud owner of this one-of-a-kind recording.
I am very biased, okay? I feel it's the greatest find in 50 years in America.
And transform it from a dungeon of shame to a haven of freedom and human dignity.
George did not acquire the tape at auction, nor did he uncover the treasure at a yard sale.
The mind is the standard of the man.
This rare piece of the past was a gift. In 1967, the man who once had a dream also held on to a wish.
He had my full attention.
Dr. King canvassed Cleveland, urging voters to help Carl Stokes become the city's first African-American elected mayor.
We have learned that we don't have to use violence to do this job.
I watched this man. I touched this man. I talked to this man.
John Allen, who worked for WJMO in Cleveland, followed Dr. King's every move.
And that impression will stay with me forever.
During one stop at Greater Abyssinia Baptist Church, Mr. Allen found himself standing next to his hero. John pushed record on his Norelco tape machine.
You develop the quiet courage of accepting blows without retaliating.
Mr. Allen would capture 23 minutes of Dr. King, directing people to stand up to social injustice.
Looking at these pictures, you got pretty close.
Oh, yeah. I was very close.
Mr. Allen would stash the tape in a paper bag, Dr. King's bellowing voice silenced on a shelf.
It sat wrapped up for years and years and years.
Decades after recording Dr. King's voice, the 84-year-old would dust off the reel.
I could have put it on the market, tried to sell it, but I didn't.
John would present the tape to his new friend, George Martin, free of charge.
That makes me very happy.
Why would John simply give his precious recording away, no strings attached?
This is the puh, so it would be...
John says you can find the answer here.
Willie May love baseball.
Every week, John's grandson, Andre, joins George for one-on-one tutoring.
Andre's a wonderful child.
When Andre began sessions with George and his wife Eileen at the Chesterfield Learning Center 2 years ago, he did not know his ABCs.
Every month.
Good.
Andre was willing to learn.
He tries very hard.
Through George's guidance, patience, and lesson plans, the 27-year-old started flourishing.
I love it. I mean, I feel like home here.
Pat someone on the head, for instance.
Andre is now reading at a second grade level.
That's as much as I would say someone getting a bachelor's and getting a doctorate. Hall
of Fame.
John Allen says his grandson's progress on the inside and out is nothing short of remarkable.
From day one, like right here, I was down here, and now I'm up here.
Thanking the man responsible was
yes,
rather elementary.
I gave it up.
Some opportunity to stand up for truth.
That's something.
John calls the tape a small token of his appreciation.
I treasure it. It's as though it's, the Hope Diamond to me.
If a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live.
But to John, the man who has given so much, deserves these words from a king.
There are some things so precious.
In exchange for these words from a prince.
Became a big star.
Good.
That sound just as sweet.
How happy, I'm thrilled. I cannot tell you.
Something so dear.
George, he's cool. He's my new best friend.
Something so eternally valuable and worthful that they are worth dying for.
Well,
to celebrate the holiday season, CBS 6 is partnering with Union Bank and Trust to turn December into a month of giving. Well, this week it was a surprise of a lifetime for a woman who was picking her dog up from a local emergency vet. What our Mike Goldberg did to help her out in our CBS 6 month of giving.
Hi there.
Hi.
Samantha, I'm Mike Goldberg from CBS 6, and I heard about Hamilton. Hamilton, how are you? I hear he's eating.
He just ate.
Which is great to hear. We at CBS 6 are doing a month of giving.
I've been watching him on Facebook.
Well, and I wanted to do something for a pet in need, and I heard about your situation this weekend, so we would like to pick up a good portion of Hamilton's bill from this weekend. I am.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you are very, very welcome. How you doing, Hamilton?
Annie. You have no idea how much this means to me.
Well, I know this is obviously a challenging time of the year, and to be going through what you're going through, we wanted to make it a little bit easier for you.
No, you have no idea. Even on top of that, my dad got killed last year at work, and my brother had an accident, so this just means the world to me.
Well, we're glad
so
to. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you all
Merry
very
Christmas. Merry Christmas, Hamilton.
Our chief meteorologist, Zach Daniel, is in Whitestone next to the Rappahannock River where it's about to be high tide. Hey there, Zach.
Hey, Rob, and yeah, they've seen some significant flooding out here, and flooding is not a foreign thing to them. They see coastal flooding around here a couple times every year. Again, I'm out here in Lancaster County, right at the mouth of the Rappahannock where it dumps into the Chesapeake Bay, and I want to show you the flooding that we have right now. Down this road, the water's covering about half a lane, about 100 yards from me, but then we get into an area where the water's completely covering the road, about 8 to 10 inches of water, and that's a very, very long stretch of roadway. And we have scenes like this all across the Northern Neck and Middle Peninsula. And this is a very special situation that we're dealing with and have been dealing with for the last several days for 3 reasons. Let me show you the first one here, and it's the biggest one by far, and it's what you can kind of see or maybe hear on the microphone. It's the wind. The wind has been dominant out of the north and east, and it has not let up. And that wind basically just takes the water and it piles it all in one direction and just continues to inundate these tidal rivers and even water out of the Atlantic coming into the bay and causing that flooding. Second reason are the tides, and tides are a daily thing. Every day, low and high tide. Every 12 hours we have a high tide. But the tides, when they do get high, that just adds to the problem of the already high levels because of the strong winds. And then the third factor is more of a minor factor, but you have to consider it. Yes, Hurricane Joaquin did miss this area by hundreds of miles, but it was a monster hurricane, and it sent a big swell up the East Coast, and that swell has reached the East Coast. That water's moved into the Chesapeake, and off the Chesapeake, that water's come into some of the tidal rivers as well. So it's really a 3-pronged deal that we're dealing with right now with all the river flooding. High tide's coming up at 6 o'clock. The good news is after that, conditions will gradually start to get better.
6 Sports special presentation, Final Score Friday, with Sports Director Lane Casadante and Sean Robertson. Sponsored by Geico.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of Final Score Friday. Lane and Sean here, along with the Lady Hawks of Hanover. We got 14 games to get to tonight, including one of the biggest rivalries in the area.
Manchester at LC Bird was decided by a last-second Hail Mary last year. It did not stop the Skyhawks from winning their 3rd straight state title, but it did inject some more fire into this Chesterfield rivalry. We head to Manchester for tonight's game of the week. The Lancers have won 2 of the last 4 games, including that thriller last year. Late first half, Jalen Elliott to Keir Townsend for the 4-yard touchdown. Bird would lead 7-0 at the half. Third quarter, it will be the J.B. Wright show, a 7-yard touchdown on the Skyhawks' first possession, 14-0 Bird. Next, Skyhawks trip. Elliott keeps it himself for the 1-yard touchdown. It's 21-0 Bird. Then in the fourth, Wright with his 2nd touchdown of the game from 12 yards away. Bird remains undefeated after a 35-0 win. Wright had over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win tonight against Manchester to remain undefeated.
Working for you. CBS 6 News at 5 starts with a breaking news alert.
We're going to get right to it. The breaking news out of Hanover, where state police are investigating a deadly crash that shut down the interstate late this afternoon.
It happened on Interstate 295 South near the Chamberlain Avenue exit. Now, this is video sent in from a viewer of the debris left behind by the accident. We do know 4 vehicles were involved.
Our Melissa Hippolyte is near the crash scene. We'll go to her for a live report in just a minute, though.
Now we're working to find out if that crash could be related to some breaking news that we have in Chesterfield County. That's where a woman and a child were found dead inside a home today. Police say both were murdered. This is all happening in the 20,300 block of Farintosh Court near Matoaka Middle School.
CBS 6's Shelby Brown is live at the scene to tell us what investigators and neighbors are saying. Shelby.
Well, Rob and Julie, this is still a very fluid situation, according to Chesterfield police, but they have been here on the scene for several hours. We were told by police that they came here to initiate a welfare check for a family that lives here in this cul-de-sac behind me. We know it is now being investigated as a double murder. Just to set the scene for you, this is what's happening here on the scene right now. You can see that Chesterfield police are here lining the street. This is Farintosh Court. The home that they're focusing on is a yellow home with gray shutters in the cul-de-sac that you see here. A mobile command unit is set up as well. Officers are here securing the scene. They've blocked off the street. They don't want anyone to drive down this street unless they live here. Neighbors have been seen comforting each other. It's been a very emotional scene. In fact, just moments ago, a woman pulled up in a car. She jumped out. She tried to run down the street. She was screaming, "My sister." Chesterfield police stopped her before she could get to that home in the 20,300 block of Farintosh Court. Again, police telling us they know that they found a juvenile, a little girl, and an adult female inside deceased. Neighbors are stunned.
We never know. That's it. And pay attention to what's going on in your neighborhood. I got tears in my eyes now. A child, you know. You don't hear about too much of that. You know, this happens everywhere else, not where I live.
So neighbors obviously very concerned. Family members appear to be coming to the scene as well. A lot of emotion here. Police again on the scene with this mobile command unit. Neighbors that we spoke with tell us that police earlier today were going door to door asking them if they heard anything within the past 24 hours. Of course, many questions to be answered today. CBS 6 will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest. For now, working for you in Matoaka, Shelby Brown, CBS 6 News.
All right, thanks, Shelby.
We're also tracking strong storms across the Richmond area. Let's send it right over to Chief Meteorologist Zach Daniel in the Weather Center. Zach.
Yeah, big time storms out there. Main threat here is just very, very heavy rainfall. And of course, lightning always a big threat. Some storms up north, Spotsylvania, Brokenburg, Doswell area, Hanover. But the big one here that's moved up the north side of the metro is now moving in to Ashland, farther south through Glen Allen. North side here along 295, tremendous amount of rain coming from these storms. Again, if you're going to hit the roadway, wait till these storms pass because the significant amount of rainfall here. There's the motion of this overspreading Tuckahoe, heading up towards Short Pump, out toward Innsbrook. They got a big show tonight with Foreigner out there, and they got a lot of folks out that way, probably out in the rain. And then farther south, there's a few little updrafts trying to get going here around Brandermill. Also farther south and west, but a lot of this area here in the metro has been somewhat stabilized because of the rain. Look at this bullseye of rainfall. I've already adjusted this for hail contamination, which would overestimate this. So that's probably a conservative estimate. 3 inches of rain. This is the Wyndham area. There's Ashland Road, 623, and Staples Mill Road, Knuckles Road. Hammered big time with heavy rainfall. And looking at the broad picture here, that's the biggest game in town is what's happening on the north side here. The rest of the state, just some scattered storms around. Checking your forecast for tonight, we're going to see temperatures still in the mid-70s. It's going to be a muggy night out there, and we've got more storms in the forecast and the potential for severe weather. I'll talk about when we'll be facing that straight ahead.
Thank you, Zach.
Back to that breaking news out of Hanover County. A deadly crash, again involving multiple vehicles, has closed all lanes on Interstate 295 near Chamberlain Road in Mechanicsville.
Once again, this is the crash. We are trying to determine if it is connected to that double murder in Chesterfield. Our Melissa Hippolyte has been gathering details on the investigation into the crash and joins us live in Hanover. Melissa?
Now, we are standing above 295. This is 295 north behind me here. You can see it's starting to move, albeit slowly, because people are looking at what is going on 295 south. You're getting an exclusive look at the scene here. We are the only station up here. I'm having my photojournalist, Brad Wilson, zoom into this scene for you a little bit. Virginia State Police have confirmed that 4 vehicles were involved in this fatal crash. You can see one of them just to the right of this mobile command post, and then to the left of that, we've been looking at a car that is extremely mangled, a silver car. You can see where those people are standing around a tow truck. That is where that car is located. As for the other 2 cars involved, they appear to be on the roadway there. So again, this is 295 south that you're looking at where this fatal crash occurred. We are still waiting for more information from the Virginia State Police. In fact, we just received an email from Sergeant Steve Vick. He said he's trying to gather details before he releases anything to the media. So once we learn more, we will bring that information to you as soon as possible. Working for you in Hanover County, I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
Melissa, thank you.
And of course, this is the time folks are trying to get home. A lot of people live around that area in Hanover. Let's check in with Raymond Hawks in the traffic center to find out how to get around this crash. Ray?
Yeah, it's definitely causing delays throughout the metro area here. This is Interstate 95 on the southbound side. Right before you get to the 295 exit, you can see where they have that closed off if you're trying to make your way southbound. Also still having that delay right there along Interstate 95 as you're coming again southbound again, and 95 northbound there. We're also picking up a lot of heavy traffic. So as we pull back out to the maps here, you can see this is exactly where the accident is, right here on 295 south. But this is where you're going to have your best detours here is Interstate 95, also 301, even trying to Route 1. But the best way if you want to avoid all of that is to use Mechanicsville Turnpike back to Interstate 295. For now, let's look at traffic. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thanks, Ray. We have breaking news out of Prince George County now. VDOT says a gate is stuck on the Benjamin Harrison Bridge, and that's causing some delays there. We're told 1 lane is open, so traffic is getting by, albeit more slowly than normal, using alternating lanes.
A former Dinwiddie County Sheriff's deputy is finding himself on the other side of the law tonight. He's been indicted on malicious wounding charge after an incident involving his estranged girlfriend.
Now, a dozen other cases he's been a part of have been dropped. CBS 6's senior reporter Wayne Koval joins us in the newsroom with the CBS 6 exclusive. Wayne?
Julie, it was an in-car camera that brought prosecutors to the attention of Michael Green. The video showing him pulling over his estranged girlfriend. That incident resulted in a grand jury indictment, but the former deputy is also facing a civil suit for a similar incident 2 months before. Sources say Michael Green was on duty when he pulled over his estranged girlfriend on August 4th of last year.
He had pulled her over and charged her actually with traffic infractions.
But Green's in-car camera showed a much different version of what happened.
In reviewing the evidence of what was supposed to be the case against her, we see that it's much more about a case against him than against her.
Sources say Green was dismissed from his job the next day, and now he's been indicted by a grand jury for malicious wounding with a caustic substance.
He could be facing from 5 to 30 years in prison for this particular charge.
And about a dozen cases involving Green, including 1 felony, will no longer move forward through the Dinwiddie court system.
Cannot ethically go forward, not willing to go forward when a charge is based on a former officer's testimony, and we have doubts about the integrity of that.
I think that's the right decision on the part of the prosecutor to assume that all the cases are tainted and drop the cases.
A similar case involving a traffic stop from June of 2014 has resulted in a $1.3 million lawsuit against Green. The drivers in both cases had the charges against them also dropped by the Commonwealth. The reason for the malicious wounding with a caustic substance charge is because sources say the video shows Green pulling his estranged girlfriend out of her car, pushing her to the ground, and while on top of her, he uses his mace. Green had 4 years with the Dinwiddie County Sheriff's Office. He is behind bars with no bond. Julie?
Thank you, Wayne. The Chesterfield father who was arrested for running from police, Prince George police, and then forcing an elementary school to go into lockdown, faces new charges tonight. 48-year-old Ronald White is charged with assault on law enforcement, 2 counts of eluding police, driving with a revoked license, and failure to obey a traffic signal. Police say he ran from a Virginia state trooper after he was stopped and questioned at a Pilot gas station. That's when officials say he ran into a car and sped off. We're told local police officers saw him run into that car and they started to chase him, signaling for him to pull over. He eventually pulled into the South Elementary School parking lot where he was boxed in by police cruisers. Officials say in an attempt to get away, he crashed into a police car and officers used a taser to stun him. One officer and White were taken to Southside Regional Hospital to be treated for injuries.
Chesterfield police have charged this mother, Jessica Harris, with DWI and neglect after she was caught driving drunk. Police say an officer saw her car stopped in the right lane on Midlothian Turnpike early Sunday morning. An investigation found she was driving while intoxicated. Police say 2 children, 2 months and 18 months old, were in the car with her. They are unharmed and have been released to a relative.
Federal court documents show that a 4th suspect has been arrested for stealing 30 guns from a Powhatan pawn shop. Malik Osborne was arraigned in court yesterday, and this morning the 3rd suspect, Michael Thomas, was in federal court and learned his charges would go to a grand jury. All 4 suspects you see in this surveillance video accused of breaking into the gun shop in the early morning hours of May 18th. The Commonwealth's attorney said in court today that some of the guns may already be in the hands of gang members and convicted felons.
Federal prosecutors say former First Lady Maureen McDonald's corruption charges should be upheld. In a brief supporting her conviction, prosecutors says she has, quote, fundamental misunderstanding of the law. She, along with former Governor Bob McDonnell, have been sentenced to prison time for their charges and are in the process of appealing. Defense lawyers for both of them say their clients did nothing wrong while the governor was in office.
Live music returns to Innsbruck. You know this is a local tradition. A 3-day weekend of Innsbruck After Hours starts with Foreigner performing tonight. Country music star Lee Brice on Saturday and reggae band The Wailers on Sunday. I have a feeling it's not quite that empty right now. This is the 30th year of the concert series. We have the full list of bands on WTVR.com, and our Nikki D. Ray is in Glen Allen right now. We're going to check in with her for the forecast and the crowd for a live look at Innsbruck at 5:30.
Searching for stolen memories. This Virginia man is on the hunt for his cell phone that he says was stolen from his truck. What was on the phone that he says he cannot replace.
Plus, some local sheriff's deputies laid off in March are now employed again. Our Sandra Jones met up with them as they headed back to work. See how they're transitioning into their new jobs on CBS 6 News at 5:30.
And once again, we're going back to our top story of the day. Part of our top stories of the day, we're following a double murder in Chesterfield, which happened on the 3000 block of Furtentosh Court near Matoak Middle School. We are also following the deadly crash on Chamberlain Road that has I-295 completely closed on one side. Stay with us as we continue to follow both these stories on CBS 6.
We're learning more about the investigation involving former Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert after it was reported that he was indicted in Illinois on bank-related charges. CNN is reporting that Hastert was paying a former student to keep quiet about allegations of sexual misconduct. Hastert is accused of lying to the FBI about agreeing to pay that student $3.5 million. Hastert retired as House Speaker in 2007.
New at 5, a Hampton man is searching for his stolen cell phone, but it's not for the monetary value. It's because there are memories on that phone that he doesn't have anywhere else. According to a report by the Daily Press, Casey Haas says his black Samsung Galaxy S5 has pictures and 2 years worth of text messages between him and his late girlfriend, Brittany Newcomb, who died in a car accident in September. Haas says the phone and some cash were taken from his truck Monday night when he left it unlocked to go inside his brother's home for a moment. Haas tried to track the phone for about 3 hours after it disappeared, but no luck. Now he's pleading for the thief to return it, no questions asked.
Now from CBS 6, the Weather Authority, Chief Meteorologist Zach Daniel.
I'll start you off with a beautiful shot through our Sky Tracker Dominion camera, and you can see just a wall of water out there. The atmosphere is chock full of moisture, so when it rains, it will pour, and you know that if you've been caught under one of these showers and storms over the last couple of days. and the atmosphere is not really changing at all from one day to the next. The humidity is still there, the heat is still there, and that instability builds throughout the afternoon. And for the most part, the risk of severe weather is low, but some of these storms will produce some large hail. And because these storms are going up and don't have much support to really get organized, a lot of times they have strong downdrafts with them. So this storm poses that threat over Spotsylvania, over toward Brokenburg, of some wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, as well as some quarter-size hail. Ashland, and then down into parts of Hanover County. Once you get just a little bit north of Chickahominy River there and out of Henrico County, very heavy rain continues. Then along 295 down into Glen Allen down to Bryan Park, heavy rainfall there that continues. It's going to be Laburnum Avenue and Parham Road, north side here. And also new updrafts going up around Bon Air, and that's going to be lifting north into the Tuckahoe area. No lightning yet with this activity, but that could change at any moment. I know a lot of swim meets tonight, or at least the swim teams getting ready for that tonight. Getting a couple calls and interest as to what's going to happen. Notice new updrafts here developing and pushing north, so stay alert. Even though you don't see any lightning at the moment, that could change very, very quickly. All right, looking at the rainfall total here, this is just an amazing storm that did not move very quickly and just dumped a tremendous amount of rain. 4.1. I've cross-checked that with the Weather Service dual pole, and that is a 4-inch rainfall total. And this is going to be Ashcake to Ashland Road, 629, up Knuckles and up Staples Mill. Again, a ton of rainfall out toward the Wyndham area, Dominion Club area. All of this, again, lifting north, and across southern sections, not much happening, and the activity will wane with the loss of heating later tonight. 83 right now, southeast wind at 9 miles per hour, and other temperatures here in the metro area, they're impacted by the rain in a big way. It's 83 and dry in Stanston, 82 in Mechanicsville, but 69 out in Short Pump and waterlogged out that way. Across the rest of the Commonwealth, a mix here. We have the 70s and some 80s, and again, it all just kind of depends on how close you are to one of those showers and thunderstorms. Lows tonight, more of the same here, mid to upper 60s, and highs tomorrow, upper 80s and some low 90s. 90 here in Richmond. The heat index will likely hit about 93 in the hottest part of the day. There's your Metro Skycast for tomorrow. We could have a couple pop-up storms. I'm going to leave the rain chances in any one spot less than 20%, but if you're going to be out, and a lot of people are this time of year, just stay weather aware in the afternoon. Keep an eye on the sky. All right, that's what we have right now. Tonight, things wind down, and tomorrow, a few pop-up storms, but really not that many. As we get into Sunday, good start to the day, not much happening. By afternoon, we'll see some storms firing up to our north and west, and some of those will drift into the area pretty late on Sunday. There's the rainfall probability. 40% Sunday, 60% by Monday, back down to 40 Tuesday, and we finally get a break here from the rains and from the heat and humidity. Check the 7-day forecast, and we've kind of delayed that cool down a little bit. Now it looks like Monday is still going to be quite warm, but looking good from really most of Tuesday, but definitely Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A nice stretch of weather headed our way.
Thanks,
All right,
Zach.
appreciate it, Zach. Check your attitude. We'll tell you how much more money workers with a good attitude make than their cynical coworkers.
And we continue to follow breaking news. This is the scene out in Chesterfield, the home in the back there, the yellow home kind of in the center of your screen. An investigation underway for a double murder. We're also working to find out if this is connected to a deadly crash on 295 in Hanover. We'll keep you up to date as we follow this breaking news on the air and online, WTVR.com. New at 5, if you're not making enough money, could it have something to do with your attitude at work?
Perhaps. A study recently published by the American Psychological Association shows cynical beliefs about others may have a negative effect on your income. Researchers suggest cynical people may pass on chances to cooperate with others, which can further their careers. A separate study on the same topic in Germany found those with low levels of cynicism earn, on average, $300 more than their cynical counterparts. And this is just a setup.
It's begging.
It's just begging for a setup for the most cynical person in the entire newsroom. Raymond, how you doing, my friend?
My attitude is because I work with you. That's why.
Is it? Really? Okay. I see. It should be a happy one then.
This is starting to be my favorite part of the day. This little interchange exchange
Our
here.
feud every day. But yes, because I work with him. But you're going to have an attitude today. We got to really talk about this traffic right now.
I know.
Interstate 95 northbound and southbound is a mess this evening. That's also because of the accident on Interstate 295 there. As you can pull out to these cameras here, you can see we're picking up several delays along 95 northbound and southbound, as well as Interstate 64 there. So again, just want to allow yourself a few extra moments if you're in that area. As we pull back out to the maps, again, 295 southbound and right there, the Chamberlain exit, that's where it's closed. So Interstate 95, Route 1 and Route 301 are some of your best bets there, but that's also picking up a lot of heavy traffic. So if you really just want to avoid, you might want to take 60 bound west and take Mechanicsville Turnpike as an alternate. For now, let's look at traffic. Let's send it backwards to the desk.
A little bit more money in your pocket if you're not so cynical, Raymond.
All right, camping out on the roof. That's what this elementary school principal did. Tell you what the students did that forced him up there all night long.
Plus, the observatory at the One World Trade Center is now open to the public. We'll take you 100 floors up for a look at the newest jewel in the New York City skyline.